with Congressman Byron Donalds. He's a U.S. representative for Florida's 19th Congressional District. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, so inflation, it came out at 9.1%, well above economists' projections. How do you see that affecting people in your district as well as the rest of the country?
It's devastating. It's devastating to everybody. Listen, if you're having to spend at 9.1% inflation rates, that means that everything you're going to buy is up even more than that. And if you look at some of the different segments, food, gasoline, airline tickets, whatever the case might be, those are up massively, way more than 9.1. It's terrible for people because it takes away their ability to do other things in their lives, past just eat and get to work or get to school. Not a way to live at all. Terrible for our country. And this all could have been avoided if the Democrats and Joe Biden had not gone down this reckless line of spending that they did last year. But it's a terrible thing. We shouldn't even be here. It's devastating, especially if you're a senior on fixed income. Where are you going to get this additional money from? You're not working. You might be forced back into the labor force when these are supposed to be your golden years. It's a very bad thing.
And so despite skyrocketing gas prices, inflation, the Biden administration and Democrats are still pursuing their climate agenda. I mean, even in light of the fact that a lot of polls show that Americans aren't really prioritizing climate change, they're prioritizing the economy. So why do you think they're pushing this so hard, especially ahead of November elections?
Because they have a majority right now. And once they lose this majority, it might be a few years before they ever get it back. At least 2 cycles at a minimum, if not more, before they get it back, because they've been so disastrous with all of their plans and their policies. So that's why they're pushing. Listen, the one thing about the Democrats is it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, they are looking to advance the agenda. The answer is always their agenda. It doesn't matter, why is it raining so much? The answer is their agenda. Why is the sun out too long? The answer is their agenda. That's what they're going to always default to. And now they're in a place where they're about to lose their majorities. And so they're trying to push everything to the table as quickly as they can because they know once it hits January of 2023 and a new majority is sworn in, they won't have the ability to do anything.
So we look at countries in Europe, like the Netherlands, we look at France. France just had a lockdown because it was too hot, I believe. In the Netherlands, you have truckers and farmers protesting and blocking up the highways because they're being told our land's going to be taken away. The government's trying to fight climate change and we're not going to be able to farm anymore. I mean, is that a track that the United States could ever get on if we continue down this road with Biden's climate agenda?
Oh, we absolutely could. The Europeans are 10 years ahead of where we are right now. So can it be possible? 100%. This is why it's important for the American people and to understand that they cannot follow this insane Green New Deal policy. Listen, I understand that people want to save the planet. I want to preserve the planet for my children and for their children. Everybody wants to preserve the planet. But you cannot do it with these radical environmental policies, especially what we know right now, that number one, when you get solar panels, most of that's coming from China. So China is doing the dirtiest mining on the globe. They're using slave labor to mine for the minerals. So you can get your solar panel on your roof and act like you're green? No. And then when the solar panels actually run out and you throw them away, all the metals actually are seeping into the groundwater. California is having to deal with this right now. And so you can still be green, but you can't do this stuff. We should be fully embracing nuclear in the United States. Obviously continuing with natural gas and yes, oil. You do those 3 things, you'll actually have a much cleaner energy matrix that emits much less than even where we are right now, where we were 10 years ago.
And so what are the elites pushing this and the Democrats pushing this stand to gain?
I honestly don't even know. It perplexes me. I mean, sometimes, there are people who say that the people who are in the Green New Deal, it's really just the old red deal, but they just can't be communists anymore or Marxists, so now they have to be environmentalists. But honestly, they are so, prescribed to these policies, they don't know how to get out of it. And so sometimes when people are stuck, they just got to, continue to go that entire way. But it's been disastrous for the country. I wish they would reverse course. I wish they would actually wake up and realize that reality is here. And now we have to actually make the appropriate decisions on behalf of the American people. And look, in the legislative process, am I going to get everything I want? No. But if you actually sit down and get to some common truths about what's going to work for people in the United States, we can get the big stuff done, which is what most people want anyway.
So you just joined in some of your fellow lawmakers on a letter to the SEC about greenhouse gas disclosures. So
yes.
What does that do to small businesses? Can you just give a little rundown about that?
So ESG policy, these greenhouse gas disclosures that the SEC is saying that they want, will be a disaster for our economy. Essentially, it will make banks have to disclose about what their ESG, and this is mostly the energy components, what their score is. Or any financial institution that helps a small business raise capital, they would have to disclose this. If you have a small company that actually has the ability to try to go public, they would have to disclose what their ESG score is, what their climate score is. And they want to know just what it is in your actual business, what it is with the people that you get product from, and what the totality of your business model is. This is crazy stuff. The compliance is way too high. Nobody's ever going to get it right. But this is the way the political left can get you under the thumb. Gensler at the SEC, in my view, has been a maniac with some of the rules that he's wanted to put forward. This is not how you run an economy. And so we have to stop this stuff right here and right now. That's why I signed on to that. Listen, to be brief on it, liberal fascism has no place in a free market economy. And when you put these fascist markers like energy scores or social scores or these governance scores, you're putting non-financial political measures ahead of actual financial data that matters far more when you're making investments and when you're growing a business.